If you are a landlord in New Jersey and your tenant is not paying rent, destroying the premises, or breaching the lease, the legal mechanism to have the tenant removed is an eviction. The natural question becomes, if you are going to file and pursue an eviction action, is an attorney required? This is Earl White, real estate attorney. One of our core practice areas is evicting tenants. This video is going to address whether you need an attorney to file an eviction, the differences if property is owned by an individual and if the property is owned by a company such as a limited liability or corporation, and also some of the law and benefits. Even if not legally required, you should strongly consider hiring an attorney. Whether an attorney is required for filing an eviction in New Jersey depends on whether the real estate is owned by an individual person or if the real estate is owned by an entity, such as a corporation or limited liability. The law states that property owned by an individual does not require an attorney for filing the eviction. However, if the property is owned by a legal entity, which is advisable for investment properties, such as a limited liability or corporation, an attorney will be required to be retained to file the papers for the eviction and also to attend the court hearings. This is reiterated in both court rules and case law. So reading from NJ Court Rule 121C here, prohibition on entities. An entity, however formed for whatever purpose, shall neither appear nor file any paper in any action in any court of this state except through an attorney authorized to practice in the state. So, if you're an entity, you need an attorney before you can go to court. This is also reiterated in the case law here, and this is an appellate division case, ABL 1 LLC. The sole named defendant in this foreclosure action is 159 Pearson LLC, and in accordance with Rule 121C, corporate entities must be represented in court by an attorney. And in this case, even a registered agent of the LLC was not sufficient. Now, even if you are an individual person that owns real estate and you're not required to have an attorney may be in your best interests. The reason this is that the eviction process can take a very long time, anywhere from 4 weeks to 3 months, depending on the type of eviction, the legal strategy, and how long the court is backed up. New Jersey is very tenant-friendly. The Anti-Eviction Act gives tenants serious protections, and courts have interpreted it very strictly against landlords. So if a landlord makes any mistake as part of notices, then the case could get kicked out of court, and you have to restart from scratch, resulting in lost rental income, cash flow. If the issue is related to damage to the property, additional property damage, and the additional stress to you or neighbors in an apartment building due to the tenant that is causing the problems. So this is the appellate division in September 18, 2025, stating regarding the Anti-Eviction Act that it reflects a public policy barring dispossessed actions except upon strict compliance with notice and procedural requirements. Strict compliance requirement applies even if the landlord acted in good faith or the tenant suffers no appreciable prejudice. Absent strict compliance with the requirements of the Act, a court is without jurisdiction to entertain a summary dispossession action. So if you are a landlord and you make any mistake as part of evicting the tenant, regardless if you proceed in good faith, and regardless if the tenant had no harm, you could get the case dismissed and start at the beginning of your eviction. What types of errors can result in this? If the eviction requires notices, you would have to make sure you've served notices properly, reference the correct statutes, reference the correct consequences for noncompliance with the notice, ensure that it was shipped with the right type of shipping such that it can be tracked. You also need to make sure your complaint states the grounds properly, not overstating the money that's owed or the damages, but just correct that if it goes to court, there is no dispute about. And again, very important because New Jersey, very tenant friendly, and if you don't perform your eviction correctly, it will get dismissed, and you'll be back at the starting line.